Hey everyone, and welcome. So, as we're all looking ahead to 2026, the world feels, well, more complex than ever, right? But it's also incredibly dynamic. What we're going to do here is cut right through all that noise to find the real catalysts, the things that could seriously drive growth and shape the year to come.
To really get a grip on where we're going, you first have to look at how we got here. And man, the end of 2025 was a total whirlwind. In just a few months, we saw the Fed start cutting rates again. Gold just blasted past $4,000 an ounce. We had these jolts of volatility from credit markets and major new trade deals between the US and China. It's this kind of rapid fire, almost chaotic backdrop that's setting the stage for 2026.
Okay, so how do we even begin to navigate all this? Well, it starts with getting a handle on the three biggest challenges, the major headwinds that are pushing against everything.
First up, let's talk central banks. In 2025, a staggering 9 out of 10 major economies were cutting interest rates. But now, as we head into 2026, they're all starting to go their separate ways. And this divergence, it creates a really, really tricky environment if you're trying to predict what's coming next for global money policy.
Second, we are living in a completely new trade order. The effective tariff rate in the US has hit 18%. Now, that might just sound like a number, but it's the highest level consumers have seen since 1934. This is a big deal. It's fundamentally reshaping global supply chains and adding real costs that, businesses and eventually all of us end up paying. And the third headwind? It's this absolute mountain of debt. We're now looking at over $100 trillion in global government debt. That kind of number puts immense pressure on economies everywhere. It really limits their firepower to deal with the next crisis and just looms over everything as a huge long-term risk. So, with those pretty serious headwinds blowing, you're probably wondering, where on earth are the opportunities? Well, here's the thing. It's not about trying to avoid the storm. It's about finding the engines powerful enough to push right through it. It is all about seeking the catalysts.
So what exactly is a catalyst? Just think of it like a rocket booster, a specific driver or a big theme that has the raw power to speed up growth and unlock value, even when the environment is this messy. And for 2026, there are three massive ones we need to be watching.
So here they are. First, you've got central banks potentially easing up, lowering interest rates, which could be a huge tailwind for certain assets. Second is the absolutely insane spending boom happening in artificial intelligence. And third, we're seeing the return of corporate deal-making. Yep, mergers and acquisitions are officially making a comeback. And if we dig into the numbers, you can really see the impact here. Okay, take those easing cycles. Historically, after the Fed is done cutting rates, U.S. small-cap stocks have beaten the larger ones by about 12%. Then there's the AI boom. Get this. Just 5 big tech firms now count for over a quarter of all capital spending in the entire S&P 500. And deal-making? We're expecting a 15% jump in U.S. M&A deals. These are not small shifts, people. These are powerful pockets of real growth. So, how does this all play out for investors? Well, these catalysts are creating a fascinating tale of two very different arenas. You have the public stock markets on one hand and the private markets on the other.
In the public markets, the big idea, the keyword, is dispersion. Because you have this handful of giant companies just dominating everything, the real opportunity is in finding value everywhere else. But over in the private markets, the entire game has changed. The old growth at all costs playbook, it's been thrown out. Now it is all about a laser focus on profitable growth. Now this chart right here, this shows you exactly why that dispersion idea is so important in public markets. Just look at this concentration. The top 10 companies, just 10, now make up about 40% of the S&P 500's total value. That creates this huge gap between the handful of giants and the other 490 companies in the index. All right, finally, let's pull the camera all the way back. Let's zoom out from just the year ahead and look at the massive long-term megatrends that are going to shape not just 2026, but the entire next decade and probably beyond. And really, it all boils down to two themes that stand above everything else. First, this global race for what we're calling economic security. Nations everywhere are scrambling to build stronger supply chains, to lock down critical resources, and to beef up their own defenses. And second, is the unbelievable energy transition that's required to power our future, especially the technology we're building right now.
And if you want to understand the scale of this energy challenge, just look at this number. The demand for electricity just data centers, is forecast to grow by over 175% by 2030. This is not a gradual increase. We are talking about a generational surge in power demand, and it is almost all being driven by the insatiable appetite of artificial intelligence. So, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Yes, the world is undeniably complex, but the path to finding real opportunity isn't about trying to hide from the headwinds. It's about actively hunting for those powerful catalysts that are strong enough to power right through them. And that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. We've talked a lot about AI as a key catalyst, but with its relentless, frankly shocking hunger for energy growing every single day, what if the single biggest catalyst of the next decade isn't the AI itself, but simply the race to keep the lights on for the AI revolution?